If you're having trouble in Dynasty mode and you want to learn everything from recruiting to setting your team up for success to even beating the computer consistently on Heisman, don't worry, I'm here to help you. These are 10 beginner tips you need to know. And make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so that you stay up to date with all of the latest and best college football tips all year long. Now, the first tip we need to go over before we even jump into the mode are the Dynasty settings, because this is going to be very crucial. So, of course, the first thing you can do is set your skill level. I recommend starting on All-American. It's a good starting point, but also this is going to be the best difficulty to get better at the game. And then once you get better, you can go up to Heisman. If you really need to go down and you're having trouble, you can always lower it after you're past this anyway. Coach firing, you want to leave this on, in my opinion, for the most fun Dynasty, but you can put it on CPU only, or you can just turn it off if you don't like it. Now, the Coach XP setting is very important, and you can kind of create the Dynasty you want with this. If you're struggling and you're a real beginner and you're not very good at progressing fast, you might want to turn this up to faster or even fastest. And this way, your coach will actually progress really fast, and that'll help you build out your team. But if you want more of a challenge, you could put it on slower. You could put it on slowest. I think normal is going to be the best option for most people, but you can tinker with this. Wear and tear is another important setting. I think it's best to leave this on for the most realistic Dynasty because you have to manage your player's health. But if that's a little bit too difficult for you, if you feel like that's holding you back, you can simply turn this off. Now, for the best season experience, you want to leave this on full control, and you want to leave league advancement on manual. Now, if you don't want to deal with recruiting at all, if you feel like it's too much work, it's too tedious, you don't want to deal with your coach progression, you can put this on simple and the computer will do it for you. The only drawback of this, especially with recruiting, is they're not going to get you the best recruits. They will fill up the board, they will get you recruits, but you won't be able to get some of the better guys that you would go after yourself. So if you want a simple experience and you basically just want to go into Dynasty, play the games, and you don't want to have to worry about the team building yourself, put it on simple. Otherwise, if you actually want to do things in the Dynasty, leave this on full control. Number 2, custom conferences. This is another thing you have to do before you jump into Dynasty. You can switch the conferences around to make it more fun. So you go down to the custom conferences option right here, and basically this is super simple to do. You can pick a team. So we're going to take Boston College, for example. We're going to select them, and we're going to go to the Big Ten, and we are going to just move them here. So now we've added Boston College to the Big Ten. Or if we want to go, let's say, to the Big 12, and we say, you know what, we want to move Colorado to the SEC, but we're going to actually swap them. We're not going to add a team here. We're going to swap them with Vanderbilt, for example. Well, now Colorado is in the SEC, and if we go back to the Big 12, you're going to notice that Vanderbilt is now there. So you can move teams around, create the weirdest conferences you want, and just kind of have fun with it. Tip number 3 before we jump into the mode itself is going to be how to import a team builder team, because a lot of people still don't know how to do this. You need to make sure you're choosing cloud multi-user. You don't have to play with other users. You can still play this by yourself, but you need to select this option. Now, for some reason, for me, when I choose active roster, it doesn't allow me to import, so I choose default roster, but I think if you choose active roster, it is still technically supposed to work. On my end, default roster is what works for me, and I go to import team builder. Once you click this, what you're going to do is you need to select a team to replace. So, for example, we would go to the ACC, let's just say, and I'm going to replace SMU, for example, in this. And then I can put my team here by clicking this, and you can say, yes, use your team builder team and roster. Tip number 4 is about coach creation and abilities. So you can choose to be a head coach, a OC, or a DC. No matter what option you pick, your experience is pretty much going to be the same. If you're an offensive coordinator, you're still going to control both sides of the ball. Same for defensive coordinator. So for me, I like to just pick head coach, but your experience is pretty much going to be the same regardless. The cool thing about being a coordinator is you can technically start as a coordinator of a school, and then you can get job offers later to jump up to a technical head coach of another school or even your own school. So if you want to create more of a journey for yourself, you can be a coordinator, but what you do inside the mode isn't really going to change. Now, once you decide which type of coach you want to be, you can either create your own coach or you can use the default one. Keep in mind, using the default one is going to come with a higher coach level. As you can see here, my LSU coach, he is a level 40 already. That means he's going to have abilities already built in. He's going to have more influence in terms of recruiting and stuff like that. So if you want to make it easier on yourself, you can just pick the generic coach. If you want to create your own coach, you go here and then you decide what type of coach you want to be. Now, it's going to be a little bit more of a grind when you build your own coach because he's going to start kind of from the bottom and you've got to build him up. Now, for me, if you're starting at a smaller school, you want to pick recruiter because you want to get abilities quickly that are going to help you recruit better talent to make your school better. You don't really want to go with motivator when you're a new coach, especially at a small school, because a lot of the perks that come with motivator are tied to you getting players drafted in the NFL. But if you're starting with a small school that doesn't have great players, players, you're not really going to have a lot of high-end draft picks going in the NFL early on in your dynasties. Recruiter is going to help you get more people in, or you can go tactician, which is going to help your players perform better on field, which is also going to be important. But keep in mind that you can hire coordinators that do things that you don't do. So you can be a recruiter and you can hire 2 coordinators that are tacticians, so you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. Now at this point, you go through, you create your coach, his appearance, his name, everything you want about him, and then you continue. Now moving on to the next part of this is your coaching ability. So once you get inside of your Dynasty hub, you want to tab over to the coach tab and you want to select coach abilities. Here's where you'll find all of the ways that you can upgrade your coach's abilities. Now for me, what I like to do is I like to build out recruiter and I like to build out tactician, because these are the 2 things I feel like are going to help me the most in Dynasty. Building out recruiter is going to help me get better players. It's also going to help me scout them better, which we'll go over in a little bit. And I like to build out tactician a little bit to kind of make my coach a hybrid, because tactician is one of those things that I feel like I have control over. I can get extra XP for winning games. And I'm going to show you later in this video some things you could do to help you win more games easily inside Dynasty, even on the hardest difficulties. So since we chose recruiter from the start, we already have this unlocked and we can go into this. Now this first level of recruiting coach abilities here are important because it's going to help us scout players much quicker. Now I want to use this on players like quarterbacks for sure, on wide receivers and tight ends, on DBs, and then defensive line and offensive line. Those are the main ones I'm worried about. I'm not as worried about linebackers and I'm not as worried about kickers and punters at all. Allowing us to scout these players quicker will let us know if these are players we should be going after. So we'll put our first coaching points on quarterback because that's going to be the most important position we need to scout. Then once you unlock these bottom coaching abilities here, you can start filling these up, which will help you actually get people convinced to come to your school better. And you're definitely going to want to focus on those key positions like receivers, quarterbacks, and DBs, the guys that are going to make a really big difference on your team. Now to unlock tactician, we're going to need 10 coaching points, as you can see in the bottom right of the screen. Once we play through the Dynasty a little more, we can get those points, purchase this, and start purchasing the abilities inside of that as well. Now we can see that our defensive coordinator is already a tactician, so we can open his up here and you can see what kind of stuff you're going to have inside of here. Now since he's the defensive coordinator, we're not going to worry about the offensive abilities here because he's not going to have as much of an impact on those. He's going to have a bigger impact on the defense, and as you can see, he's already got abilities for the D-line, the linebackers, and the secondary here, and these are helping their ratings get boosted, which is what we want, especially if you're taking over a small school. The 2 main things you need are to get people in the building and to have them progress fast so that you can win more games. So for your defensive coordinator, you want a tactician and you want to build up their defensive side of the ball, and then for the offensive coordinator, you want to do the same thing. Now my offensive coordinator is a motivator, so at the end of the season, I'll probably let him go and hire a tactician offensive coordinator so I can really help build this out. Tip number 5 is how to recruit properly. Now I've condensed this to make it as simple as possible, but it is going to be the longest part of the video, as this is the most important aspect to Dynasty mode if you want to have success. And we're going to do this from the perspective of a small school, as it's pretty easy to recruit as a big school, but as a small school, it's going to take some work. Now during the first week, since all you can do is scout, you want to focus on scouting 3-star prospects to see if you can find hidden gems. As a smaller school, you can't spend much time scouting during the season since you have limited hours. You have to prioritize recruiting. So during your first week, go to your prospect list, sort by 3 stars and interest. Add any interested players that have you in their top 10, then sort by open prospects and add them. Scout as many players as you can. Now if you see any standout stats early, like a wide receiver with 95 speed or a QB with 95 throw power, stop scouting them and move on. No need to waste any more hours on them, as you know those are guys that you're going to want on your team. For the players that you do fully scout, if you discover they are a gem, that means they're actually a higher star level, and you definitely want to go after them heavily in the later weeks, as big schools might overlook them. If they're a bust, just don't focus on them. Once you get to the next week, this is where you start recruiting. The first thing you need to do that's crucial is go to the prospect list, select 4 stars, and then sort by offers. You'll be surprised at how many 4-star players have no offers, and you want to add all of them. Be sure to check this list multiple times throughout the season as new 4 stars become available. These are guys you want to recruit heavily and first, as they are being overlooked. You don't need to scout them. As a lower rated team, you need any 4-star prospect you can get. You want to first offer a scholarship to all of those 4-star players with no offers. Then you want to select the send the house option. If you start running out of hours, you can use the next highest option on the other 4 stars, such as friends and family. You want to keep allocating these same hours to these prospects until they either lock you out, a big school overtakes you out of nowhere, which then you should just focus on somebody else, or you land in their top 5. Once you're in their top 5, pull the send the house option off and schedule a visit. You want to schedule visits as early as possible, as the quicker you can get them to commit, that'll open up more hours for you to go after other prospects. You want to schedule visits against teams that will boost your influence if you win, but not hurt you as much if you lose. Try to schedule complementary positions together if you can, like QB and wide receiver, but avoid scheduling two players of the same position simultaneously, as this will hurt you. For the visit pitches, choose what they care about the most that your program excels in. If you haven't unlocked all of their motivations yet and you don't know, check to see if they have a deal breaker to identify their top priority. Once you have visit schedules, the next thing you look for each week is the option to hard sell them. Once you know their 3 motivations, you can hard sell them and line up the pitch with the 3 things they like. You can also then add an extra 10 hours with the DM option to keep the max amount of 50 hours on the prospect to help boost influence. Repeat this process weekly. As recruits commit to you or commit elsewhere, you can then take the extra hours and focus on new available 4-stars with no offers, your pre-scouted 3-star gems, and other promising 3-star prospects. As a small school, avoid 5 stars, too hard to get, and avoid 1 to 2 stars as they're not very helpful. Aim for a smaller class with more 4-star and high 3-star recruits who can start early. At the end of the season, you'll have to wait a few weeks before you can do off-season recruiting. Once this opens up, continue pitching your remaining uncommitted players. Also, hit the transfer portal. Sort the portal by 4 and 3-star guys and then sort by interest. Add the few top interested players. Also, add some new 3-star prospects who don't have offers. You can now scout players here as you have a lot more hours available. Focus heavily on any new hidden gems that you find and then allocate the remaining hours to regular 3-stars. Just repeat the regular season process here. Offer scholarships, send the house until you can schedule a visit, and then hard sell. At the end of off-season recruiting, a lot of the 3-stars will start to pour in. If a player doesn't commit and you're in the lead once this period comes to an end, they automatically commit to your school. Now you can see here with Toledo, they are a 1.5-star program. I wound up with the 50th ranked recruiting class, which is not bad for a school like this, although I really would like to be inside the top 40, so we could have done a little better. Here's another example I did with the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, who are also a 1.5-star team, and I actually had the 27th ranked class with them. Number 6, player abilities. One thing you want to make sure you focus on is certain player abilities, because a player could actually have a good ability and still be a lower overall guy, but this could actually make them more viable. These are players you want to look out for on your roster, and also players you want to look out for when recruiting and in the transfer portal. Some examples of this are running backs that have the 360 or sidestep ability, as that'll allow them to make defenders miss a lot easier with jukes or spins. Look for wide receivers with the takeoff ability. Take this guy for example. He's only a 71 overall, but he's fast and he has takeoff, which means he should be on the field. Takeoff helps them get a little bit of a head start almost on their routes, and it's really good for streaks with fast receivers to get over the top defenses for big plays. Also look for any offensive weapon that has the shifty ability, as that'll also allow you to move around defenders and make people miss. For pass rushers, look for the quick jump ability. Again, this guy's only 72 overall, but with quick jump, he should be on the field because he's going to get kind of a head start or a quick jump off the snap, and he will actually be a better pass rusher because of this. Number 7, redshirt players. This is something small but often gets overlooked. Make sure you go to your team tab at the beginning of the season and go to redshirts. Now what you want to do here typically is redshirt freshman players who you know aren't really going to play this year, so you can get an extra year out of them. So as you can see, we have a ton of wide receivers who are clearly going to be on the field, and then we've got a 95 speed freshman. We'll probably keep him around because we can use that speed. But if we get 8 or 9 receivers deep, we don't need all of these guys, so we can click on them and redshirt them. We can scroll down, we have other freshmen down here. We can redshirt them as well because they're not going to see the field. Do this for all your positions so that you can get more years out of your younger players. Number 8, transfer portal targets. Now this is going to be dependent on both the team you're using and just which players decide to enter the portal. But when it comes time for the portal, you want to know which players you should immediately be going after, and you could do this by getting familiar with the regular roster in the game. You're going to always want to look for players with those good abilities like we just spoke about, but you also are going to want to be familiar with some of the lower rated or younger beast players in the game, so you don't have to spend time scouting them. So an amazing example of this is a player like Nick Harbor on South Carolina, who I have seen enter the portal through different dynasties. He's a young player, 82 overall, he's 99 speed, he's 6'5", 99 excel, 98 jump. That is a player that if you see in the portal and you're a bigger school, don't scout him, just go after him immediately. And you want to look through the roster and you want to find lower rated guys that have those good abilities, that might have a lot of speed, or they might just have a really good trait like 95 hit power or something something like that. Get familiar with those guys, make a list so that when they pop up on the transfer portal, you don't have to spend time scouting them. You can just immediately start pitching them. Number 9, coach XP goals. Go to the coach tab and click on coach XP goals. This is going to be very important for being able to upgrade your coach, which will both help you get better recruits and help your players progress faster. You want to focus on game goals, things like getting first downs, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, sacks, becoming a top 25 team or a top 10 team, winning championships or winning playoff games. You also want to note recruiting goals. Every time you sign a 3-star prospect, which we just showed, you can get over 10 of those each season very easily. You're going to get experience for this. And of course, stat goals, something else that's easy to do once you learn how to play the game, and I'm going to show you some tricks in a second. Passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, a certain amount of passing yards or rushing yards. The more of these you can rack up in a season, the more coach points you can get, and that's the easier it is to build your team out for future seasons. Number 10, how to consistently win games even on Heisman. This is what you're going to want to do, especially if you're a lower team and you're trying to build up to get better players. You want to use plays that give you a high chance of success. Now, I recommend using the Arizona playbook as they're going to have the best playbook for doing this, but you can find these things in any playbook. What you first want to do is scroll over to the concept tab. You want to select option, and then you want to tab over to speed option. This playbook has a lot of speed options, but most playbooks will have at least a couple. The speed option is going to be your best friend when trying to win games because the computer does not defend these the best, and you can usually pick up easy yards with them. All you want to do is hold the ball at the QB for a second, hold LB or L1 to do a strong pitch, and you will get easy yards with this more times than not. The next type of play we want to talk about we can find by going over to play type, selecting pass, and then under the quick pass option, we want to look at jet touch passes. Again, the Arizona playbook has quite a few of these. This is another good option for picking up easy yards, even on Heisman difficulty. You definitely want to put your best weapon here, a fast guy, a shifty guy, because you want to make plays once you get the ball. You just want to follow your blockers, get upfield, and again, look at the easy yards we can get on this. Now, I'm not saying you have to spam these every play. You can still run a real offense, but if you need big yards, it's a crucial situation, pull out these plays to help you secure first downs or touchdowns. Another great thing about Arizona playbook is it has the Wildcat formation, which, believe it or not, is very good in this game, specifically the play motion zone. Also, there is a jet sweep in here that's good as well, but we're going to focus on the motion zone play. And basically all you want to do is just take this to the side of the blockers, follow your blockers, and you will pick up easy yards with this all day long. This play is pretty much dummy proof. You're going to be able to run this even against Heisman pretty consistently for at least positive yards. It's very hard to lose yards on it. You can also use plays like the halfback slip screen, which you can find in almost every formation in any playbook. These are another really safe option. Just make sure you get the ball out quick, follow blockers, and you will pick up easy yards against the computer with this. These are the type of plays that you want to use in the crucial situations like I talked about. You don't have to do them every play unless you want to, but when you need crucial yards, go to these to extend drives. Now that you know about the best Dynasty tips, if you want another easy scheme that you can use in Dynasty along with all the stuff I just showed you, make sure to check out this best beginner offense video right here on the screen.